All right, let's spend a little bit of time on getting your track to sound as loud as possible to avoid peaks, distortion, or it might just be too low, or you know, you guys are wondering how to get it to sound like most of us around here, for record and things like that. I wouldn't say we're not going to spend too much time trying to get this beat to sound perfect, you know what I mean? But there are some things that you have to do in order to get your beat to sound, a little louder. And that's probably what you struggle with. So basically, all it is just putting some type of limiter at the master track. Now, one thing I do want to say is that you do want to refrain from touching the master fader knob or the fader itself. Never touch the fader. Let me say that again. Never touch the fader. This here, never touch the fader. No, it don't matter what DAW you're using. Never touch that. Always leave it at 0. Let the other plugins do what it does. I am in Bitwig, in case you guys are wondering, and this is what it is. So whatever you put on the master fader, you might put things like a compressor, a glue compressor to help glue things together. You might put a multi-band compressor on there. You know what I mean? Things like that we are putting on this. And then we always tip it off with a limiter. The limiter is the very last thing that goes at the end of the channel strip or the channel chain on the master, and that's it, right? Now, the settings varies from song to song, depends on what you're doing. If you are mixing properly in your DAW, then you shouldn't have to push it too far, but there are things about a limiter that helps us get to a point, right? So real simple. What I did on this track, I just put a compressor on there, and it's acting as a glue compressor. You know what I mean? These are my settings. My ratio is like 1.40. I could probably bring it down to 1.1, which is probably typical 1-to-1 ratio. And I'm going to change my threshold. Okay. It's not doing anything. So I'm going to bring this back up. This is the reason why I moved it, so that it can kiss the needle a little bit. In other compressors, 1-to-1 is decent. But in this case, 1-to-1 ratio is not doing much for me. So I'm going to bring it back to 140 like I had it before. So what I'm doing here is just kissing it a little bit. It's decreasing the threshold or the dB value about negative 1.6. And it's because it's containing the transients, which is the drums for the most part. But it's giving a glue. Right, so it's pretty much handling the whole song. So whatever you guys got going on in your song, some type of compressor at the end kind of helps contain it better. And that's what I'm using this for. So if I turn on my peak limiter, I got my ceiling. I believe by default it's at negative 0.3, which is decent. Now, the song is not too loud. It's not pushing. It's not really doing much, but you can, increase the input. And again, just like a normal compressor, your release is how long it reacts before it not react. You know what I mean? If I wanted to just, handle certain transients, But I like how this sounds. It's more of it's acting like a glue, you know. But this is a peak limiter though, you know. It's just handling things a little bit differently. So that's very simple. Now let me show you another one. Another one might be something by IK Media, which is what I usually use a lot, like a lot for like beats, something simple, because it has a little bit more functions on here. Now this thing is pretty cool because it pushes. I'm gonna turn my volume down because sometimes the volume just be like in your face. It's got a width on here, which handles the stereo field, which is a nice touch, you know. If you want to push it forward, you could do that. Give it a little body. But I don't like how it sounds. This one is your focus. So it's kind of like your high mids. So that's your focus. This is your air right here. It gives you a little bit more of a sheen. Might be a nice touch. Depending on what you're doing, gotta be careful with that, you know. And then this is handling your transients. Again, you gotta treat this stuff responsibly, you know. If you want a little bit more bass, but this is like, it's like a punch. So it's kind of like an EQ type thing. This is my low end. This handle my mids, and this handles like my high mid, and this is my highs right here. And then if you want a little analog, give a little, you know, the vintage vibe right there. And then this would be, I feel like this is like your threshold. So it's not too bad. So I do use meters to see like what's going on. That's something that I do. I have a few limiters that I use. I usually use the ozone when I'm doing serious work because there's more involved. I also have a U-Lean meter here. This meter is good for different platforms that you have to submit to. It helps you see what you're doing pretty much. So here's my LUFS. -14 point. Yeah, that's decent. And look, I'm not crushing the beat. Because usually this will be like a straight line, or like, more so a condensed line. And I'm even looking at it here. So to me, this is decent. I'm cool with this. I could push this a little bit more if I want to. I think right there is good. So I feel like I can get away with that and post that and be good to go. But I hate that I even went this far, but just to give you an idea of what it is in terms of like these different limiters and stuff that we use. As you can see, I'm only using this one. This one, TRS1 is the only one that I'm using. I have this limiter, but it's off. It's deactivated. But I do have the compressor on. If I turn the compressor off, I can achieve some of the same things in terms of like it handling the transients a lot better. But if you don't have any of this, because it is a little bit money to spend to have something, like this. By the way, I only use this for beats. I don't really use this for any like serious work, but this is just something real quick just to post somewhere. I will use something like this, but you don't have to have this. Please disregard that if I'm showing you guys something outside of your scope. Just go back to using this. Let's reactivate this. Because in your DAW, there should be some other things that you could use. Like if you worried about like width, you know what I mean? I could definitely try to find something that gives me that width. Let's see. Stereo split. This is Bitwig, I don't even think that even did anything. But, I'm looking at this. This is my first time playing with this. I'm looking at it, and it does allow you to put like other effects on each. So this would be like this is interesting. Okay. So don't worry about this. This is just a stereo split. All it does is boost left and right. It's not really a spreader. So let me see if I can find something else right quick. So maybe something that says spreader or widener. Nope, that's not a good word. Maybe a split. Mid-side split. So I feel like these are just ways to add stuff to your mids and your stereo field. Oh, there we go. This is how you spread it, I guess. Okay, that's cool. But you gotta be careful though. So if you do it that way, you can add a EQ contain the side information. So that's what this doing. So for my side information, I don't necessarily want any of the. Now we're getting into mastering, guys. It's only certain information I want on the side. This is kind of cool. So that's how you get your wide sound, or more wide. I wish I had I do. Okay, so like an imager. That's the wrong imagery. Man, that's so old. I didn't think that was gonna pull up. So again, I mean, this is something that costs a little money to have, but this does handle the wide field, but I'm not doing anything right now. I just want to see how wide it is. So I'm using this spectrum or the spectral meter here to tell me. It's like a stereo field. It's telling me how wide this thing is. Because what I just did is exactly what I would have done in the ozone. Now I'm putting stuff after the limiter, and I know I told y'all don't put anything after the limiter, but when you putting things like meters, spectrometers, or whatever, these are just meters. It's not doing anything to the signal per se. It's just giving you the overall of what it sounds like. Now this one in particular is not something I will put after the limiter. I will put this before the limiter, because you can actually start making adjustments here and make this handle the imaging, and it will definitely process the size and the mids and stuff like that. But in this video, I'm only using this to tell me what the sides are telling me, because that's what I just did. I add a EQ to the sides. I got this mid side splitter here, and so I boost my sides even more, and I cut out some of the lows to give, cut out some of that rumble. So that's exactly what I did here. But yeah, this would definitely go before actually, let's move this before. We want the limiter to come all the way. Let's bring it right here. Right there is fine. So here's my limiter. Here's the T5, the TRS1 limiter right here, and then these are my meters. So that's a good spot. yeah, it's not doing anything. See, I can just go in and out, disable, enable. All right, if I turn this off, hear the difference. But this is on, so if I wanted to, I can. I just told it to learn where everything is. Make it go to mono. So yeah, I'm impressed. Like what I'm able to do with the imager here, and what I was able to do with Bitwig. It's pretty much doing the same exact thing. I don't hear any much of a huge difference between these two here. So that's interesting. But I'm going to disable those because I only want to see it as a. I'm gonna turn this back on. I kind of like what this is doing better. But that's only because, see, I use Ozone. I never use the imager by itself, like, because you can use this as a standalone. So this is a plugin, like within the plugin. It's like a section within Ozone, and inside of Ozone, I'm doing other things to get this track to sound like this anyway. I don't have those functions here, but this is just an imager. It's not really doing much. And right here, I'm boosting the sides. You know what I mean? I'm not really boosting the sides. I'm just spreading things more so in here. But anyway, I really didn't mean for this video to be this long and to share that type of information. I want it to be as simple as possible. But basically, if you're watching this video all the way to this point, just know that when you're making beats, all you need to focus on is make your beats. If it's too loud, you see where it's like distorting at the end, bring everything down. You know what I mean? Bring everything down. So if you selecting one track on one end, you go all the way to the other end and select that. Can I do that here? Yeah, okay. That's all you're doing. You select them all and you bring the volume down for all of them. I don't know if you could do that here. Yeah, I figured that. Like I don't think Bitwig will allow you to. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But in most DAWs, you're able to do that. Maybe I did something wrong. But like you can go select all your tracks and adjust all of the volume. I know I could do that in Studio One, and I know I could do that in Ableton. I'm not really sure what the command situation is for Bitwig, but basically, it's all about getting a good overall mix. Pay attention to your master fader, make sure that it's not peaking, and then you give it like a light compression if it needs it, and then put a limiter on it. And like I say, the limiter comes in all shape, forms, and sizes. It don't really matter like where or what you're using. It's just getting your levels to a point where it sounds, a decent amount of loudness, but not peaking. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of a limiter. You know what I mean? If you think like your track is too low, you probably just have to put a limiter on the end. I've seen some people put limiters on like every group. Like you got the drum group, put a limiter on there, and then you got the piano group, put a limiter on there, and like people will like group their tracks according to the sound and put limiters on each end. I think that's unnecessary. I think that creates more problems than it helps. But if your track sounds good like that, then by all means, you know, do what you do. You probably not, you probably don't have your bus pushing into the limiter like that anyway. But just use a simple limiter at the end, and I think she's getting your tracks at decent level. If you need help mixing your tracks, just reach out to me, and we'll focus a little bit more on like how that stuff is done. Just you know what I mean. So when you guys start posting to the Discord channel, I'll hear what you guys doing, and then we'll go from there. All right. My name is Ella. Music is art. You're the artist. Paint your picture. Stay creative without rules.